Okay, we are streaming Red Dead right now. Post this on Twitter. Okay. Okay, here we go. We're live now. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day today, guys. Uh, hey, guys.
How are things with you?
I'm in a miserable way.
Finally, my day.
Yeah.
What's your problem?
Okay. Want to make sure everyone gets in the posse. Midnight Club LA, I might do sometime later this year. Oh. Hey, I was cheering and clapping for you after you beat Isaac Frost. Thank you, man. The Isaac Frost battle was really annoying. That was ridiculous. Okay. Hello, Vanishmo. Hello. Uh, how's everyone doing? Well, the next playthrough will be Manhunt. That's the game we'll be doing next. Hello from Paisadu. Hello, Ghostface. Hey, Marcus. What do you think happened to Jack after Red Dead Redemption 2? I think, for Red Dead Redemption, I think he became more of a, kind of like an anti-hero. Tony has both heroic and, unheroic qualities about them. Parody of the alien incident at the Miami Mall? No, I didn't hear what happened. Bro, what's harder, Isaac Frost on Greatest of All Time or World at War and Veteran? World at War and Veteran, because there's way more stuff that you deal with on that one. Manhunt will be the next playthrough. I'm also going to start continuing Medal of Honor. I haven't uploaded that in nearly a month. I've just been busy with just so many things. To the hideout here, then. Any new lore video? The Pegrino lore video is coming out on the 7th.
You're gone. There ain't no place you can go.
Oh no!
Holy shit!
Say hello to Jesus for me.
I tied that one up.
You're in serious.
What kind of game is Manhunt? It's kind of like a very violent, it's a very violent, almost kind of like a horror game, I guess, but Rockstar's most darkest game. I don't know if you classify Manhunt as a horror game, but it definitely has a lot of creepy elements to it. Great. Oh, damn, I'm down. Thank you, Antonio, for that super chat. Hi, Freshel. Today's my birthday, January 6th, in my time zone in Albania. Well, thank you for coming by, Grady, and happy birthday to you, man. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing a Medal of Honor. Yes, I uploaded a Medal of Honor part nearly a month ago, and I'm gonna continue that too. We're gonna be doing Manhunt as well at the same time. I'm just gonna say this now, F you, Frost. Thank you, Mr. Waifu. Yeah, I got pissed at that fight. I really can't stand Isaac Frost. I really cannot stand him. He's so annoying.
What in all hell? You gonna pay for this?
Oh, thank you, Blade of Stars. Hello, it's wonderful to see you. I made up my mind. That live stream mention will be 1:30 tomorrow. I posted a link on your New Year stream. You mean on my my tweet? Where? Oh, on my. Oh, okay. My New Year stream. I was a bit confused what for a moment what you meant. So the comment section in my New Year stream. Thank you, Blade of Stars. What are you gonna be specifically doing on the stream? Thank you for the super chat. I know you wanted to talk about a bunch of things. Thank you, man, and thank you, and what do your parents think of you being a landlord? My parents are supportive. My parents did not want me. My mom did not want me to do that. Because my mom was a previous landlord at one point, and she had dealt with some really toxic tenants, and she said that you're gonna have to deal with some really toxic people. But so far, I have not had that experience. I have not had that happen. The most stupidest character in The Sopranos, I would say the two idiots who shot Christopher Moltisanti, just losing the track of thought right now. Thank you, Mr. Nowhere. Just get some things off my chest, mainly a Chatsy issue as well as going into a spring semester in college. Okay. And thank you, EJ, Dureem, thank you, man, for the super chat. This will be my first time playing Manhunt. I've never played Manhunt before. Red Dead Redemption 2 wins Labor of Love Steam Awards. I know. I told a lot of people to vote for it. I don't know if it won because we all voted for it, but it definitely helped. We voted for Red Dead Redemption 2 to win the Labor of Love Awards as a way of trolling Rockstar, basically, because Labor of Love, basically what that is that means that Red Dead Redemption 2 has added the most amount of content in 2023, and Red Dead Redemption 2 has not added any content whatsoever in 2023, so that's what was kind of funny about that. Thank you, Dragon Raiders. Thank you, man, for sponsoring my channel. Why do you pronounce Sorshide, like Sorshide Vale when you play GTA 5? What do you mean? I guess the way I pronounced it, What if Lance Vance died and Vic lived? If that was the case, if that happened, Lance Vance died and Vic lived, the story would have probably gone the exact same way. The only difference is that Vic would not have betrayed Tommy. Oh, Fernando, I'm gonna post the Pegorino lore video, and then the first part of Manhunt, and then right after that will be Medal of Honor. I have not forgotten Medal of Honor. I will post the next part. I know it's been nearly a month. It's just that the update came out, and I wanted to finish up Bully, and there was just a bunch of stuff that I was just doing at that point, but I will have the next part of it out also. can't join you for some reason. We are actually full at the moment, unfortunately, Anomalous. Because private sessions can only take 6 people. When somebody leaves, I can make a spot for you. Okay, there we go. Everyone's in the posse now. Private sessions, since when is that a thing? It's not a thing. We glitch it. This is the only glitch that you guys will actually see me doing, is the glitch to get into private sessions on Reddit Online. And, private sessions actually exist in the in-game files of Reddit Online, because when people try to join me, if people try to join me right now, they're gonna pop up on their screen saying that I'm in a private session on Reddit Online. So, we know that it's in the files, private sessions have existed, Rockstar has just not turned them on. Basically, to get into a private session, what you have to do is, one of your friends, you or your friend have to be sitting at a poker table, and invite your friend to it. And then your friend invites you to their session when they're not at a poker table. And then you're both basically connecting to each other around the same time, but the friend that's connecting to the poker table, he connects for like the first 2 seconds, and the other guy then accepts his invite. And then by that point, that player who connects to the poker session will be put into an invite-only session. Yeah. What's it like being a landlord? Is it stressful? Being a landlord is gambling in a way too, with a business. Because you're going to be renting out your house to tenants. And your hope is that the tenants will pay the rent and that they won't cause any problems. Obviously, landlords have an obligation to be, good to their tenants as well. I'm fair to my tenants, I'm good to my tenants. But I'm always worried when I'm getting new tenants that there's going to be some kind of incident, that something is going to happen. Now, I'll tell you something is, I had an incident with my previous tenants that moved out. They moved out like half a year ago, basically. What was basically going on was there was some stupid drama going on between their family. It had nothing to do with me, it was just family issues with them personally. And what happened was, they decided to move out. So, there was some kind of issues going on in their family, some kind of arguments, and I don't know if there was a divorce or what was going on, but they basically moved out, and they were nice enough to at least still pay for the last 3 months of the rent, so they still paid for it, even though they weren't living there anymore. I mean, they had to, it was a lease. But here's the thing about this, is when I went to my garage to get into the house, and I tried to, because the garage door, when you open up the garage door in my rental property and you go to the door that leads to the house, there's a keypad. And the keypad is linked electronically to the door. And so when you put in the numbers in the keypad, that door automatically unlocks. It was just like a quick way for me to always get into the house. It's always going in that way. And so what happens is, there's nobody living at the house anymore. They moved out. It's gone. And I tried putting the code in. Doesn't work. Putting the code in again. Does not work. And I'm like, what happened? And so what ends up happening is I get a maintenance guy that I know. He's a good guy, and he basically tells me the code has been changed. And I was like, my God, I was like, the tenants were not supposed to change the code. I don't intrude on them. I don't come unannounced or anything like that. I never do that. But they had moved out of the house at that point. They were not living there, and I wanted to go in the house to check up on it. It was already abandoned, deserted, and the code had been changed. And so basically what I did was I text the husband. I'm like, hey, did you change the code? Nope. I text the wife, did you change the code? Nope, we didn't. And so one of them was lying to me. So one of them changed the code to it. I don't know who changed the code exactly. And the maintenance guy could not figure out how to revert it back. And so basically I had to get rid of that panel, and I had to get a new panel installed. It was like $100 for the panel and like $50 for him to install it. And so that was just that was just a bit annoying there. I could have, gotten really pissed at them and telling them that they owe me like a new keypad, but I didn't do that. I just paid for it on my own, because I didn't really want to have anything to do with them anymore at that point, because there was just some family drama going on between them, and so I was just happy that they had moved out at that point. But that was at most that happened. Hey Pro, how we doing? Wow, 3 years. Thank you, Locke. Thank you for being a member for 3 years. I do appreciate it, man. You should do a better quality playthrough of this game if you can fit it in. Yeah, I'll do that one day, Fisher. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks, man. I really don't support what landlords do, but I get why you're doing it. Look, John, here's what I'll tell you about this. I had a, and I'm not saying you're saying this, but I had this guy that came into my chat maybe like a year ago, right? And basically there's a few people that were asking me like, well, lockpicking the door would do nothing, because I could just get in the door from the other way. But the keypad there was a new code installed on that, and so the keypad, we had to get a new code installed on that, and we couldn't figure it out, and so we had to get basically a new keypad installed. So they sent me back a new keypad. But anyways, John, to answer your question, and I'm not saying you're saying this, but basically, like, a year ago, I had this guy, like, come into my chat, and this guy, like, somebody in my chat was asking me, like, landlord questions, right? And then I have this other guy that comes into my chat, and during a live stream, it was actually during a Red Dead stream, too, and this guy was just basically going off, and he was calling me, like, a greedy capitalist, and he was saying, like, it's you that's causing the housing problem because you're, like, a greedy landlord, and a bunch of this other stuff just going off about this. First of all, I don't even know what capitalism has to do with this, but he started bringing up capitalism. But anyways, the thing about this is, you know what I did that the guy instantly stopped talking and later actually apologized? The tenants that I was renting out that house to, the ones who actually messed up the keypad, guess what? The tenants that I was renting out that house to, they were multimillionaires. The people that I was renting out that house to, they were way richer than me. They had way more money than me, and I wasn't renting out a mansion to them either. It was just a 4-bedroom rental property. So my tenants were much more richer than me. They actually own a roofing business in 3 states, and they have multiple houses in multiple states, and they wanted to expand their business to that state, and they didn't feel like buying a new house, so they basically rented out my house to be able to coordinate their business in that state too. So that's the thing is, people think that oftentimes the landlord is the one who's really rich and the tenants are really poor, but in this case it was actually the tenants who were way more richer than me and had way more money than me. And I don't screw over my tenants. I'm always very fair to my tenants. I don't raise rent. I don't do stuff like that. I don't come unannounced. And whenever they need anything taken care of, I always take care of it. So I always deal with it. Were they toxic? They weren't really toxic. But they weren't always truthful with me. The first tenants that I had, they weren't always very truthful with me. You know, that keypad incident, for example, they lied to me about that. Somebody had changed the code in the keypad, and basically that set me back with the keypad. Yeah, that was, I'm trying to remember what else happened with them. Oh yeah, there were several times where they were actually late on the rent, like several times. And they were late like a week or so. Like, this happened a few times. And, I text her and I'm like, what's going on with the rent? Like, what's that? Okay, hang on. But, basically, she's, like, late like a week on the rent. I'm texting her, like, is everything okay? What's going on exactly? And she would always reply back to me, and she would say, oh, there's nothing wrong, everything's fine, I'm sorry, I was just on a business trip, and then, she pays me, like, a week later, and the same thing has happened multiple times, where she's like, I'm on a business trip, and, she owed me rent for, like, a week, and what happened was, I never charged him a late fee. I never did that. I could have probably done it, but I never did that. I didn't do that. I didn't charge him a late fee. I just wanted basically what I was owed for the month. That's it. I wasn't trying to be, like, greedy or anything like that, but I did get a bit annoyed that it happened, like, a few times where, the first of the month is when you're basically supposed to pay every time, and they don't do that. It is my property, after all. It is my house. I'm renting it out to them, so it is my business. It's how I make money. One of my ways that I make money. But the misconception that people have about landlords is that people think that landlords are the ones who are causing, like, the housing crisis like that, but it's the big landlords, the big ones. Like, people like me, I only own 1 rental property, that's it. I am not, causing any housing crisis whatsoever. The people that are causing the housing crisis are these giant, large corporations, typically from, like, New York or California, and they move to, typically, states where there's lower taxes, properties are more affordable, and what these companies will do is they will buy up, hundreds of homes. Like, hundreds of homes in, like, a city, and then what they will do is they will raise the rent, and then that will basically affect everyone, and everyone's rent will go up at that point. So that is the people that are basically causing the problems, is you have these giant, large corporations. It's not the it's not like, you know, the landlord that owns like 1 or 2 rental properties. They're not causing any kind of housing problem. They're not causing any kind of housing issue. It is the large corporations. They are the ones who are causing most of these issues. Just got a new job. Don't have time to watch your live lately. Always glad to see you, brother. Thank you, Bori. Thanks, man. I actually can't believe literally we're 5 days into 2024 and we got 2 school shootings, both in Iowa. Yeah. Oh well, it's just horrible. It's horrible what had happened. I heard about that story the other day. It was in a pretty small town too. Thank you, Blinded Eagle, for the super chat. Have I ever played GTA Advance before? No, I haven't. Let's fight. You know the guy who says Ramirez in Call of Duty 2? You mean Modern Warfare 2? Yes. Hold on, I'll get my mic in a moment too. Better mic. Did I know the Las Vegas judge was actually attacked in court because the defendant was denied probation over charges of attempted battery? Yes, and that judge made the right call by denying probation because it shows you that the defendant did not change at all. The judge saw right through the defendant. But, also, I wanted to tell this story here. There are, one second here, let me just get a better mic. Hang on. Connect my mic over here. Yeah, it is the same guy who played Julius also. It sounds just like him too. Okay. No, because I was talking into my Yeti for the stream, which the Yeti's the good mic, but for people in my chat, I would be talking to them in my mic, my controller mic, which isn't the best one. Anyways, what I was gonna say is, just going really quick over the landlord thing, is that the tenants that I had, that the second tenants that moved into my house, and they moved in like, you know, half a year ago, these tenants are, you know, much better than the last tenants that I had, much better. About these tenants is, basically how I found them is there is a property management company that I use. Now, they don't manage the property for me, I manage my own rental property. But what I use the property management company for is called tenant placement, where basically what the property management company does is they find tenants for me. So they'll advertise my house, they'll find tenants for me, and what they will do is they will, you know, interview the tenants, they'll sign a lease with them, and they will basically collect they'll collect the deposit and the first month's rent. And what happens is, the first month's rent, that property management company gets 80% of the first month's rent for helping me to find the tenants. And it is a pretty good deal, because then the rest of the year I get 100% of the rent, so for the next, you know, 11 months, or I get 100% of the rent. They are there primarily to find tenants for me, you know, they, you know, find people, they sign up the lease and everything like that. And so, what happened is, this family that had moved into my property, basically what had happened was they were moving in from another state, and they did not get a chance to pay the property management company the first month's rent yet. They were just, and they weren't trying to slack or anything like that. It was just a simple thing. where they were just moving in from another state. They didn't have the time to do it. They came in like 5 days later, and what ended up happening was the property management company charged them, I think it was like $150 fee or something like that for being late, for 5 days. And what I did for my tenants is I actually took care of that fee. I paid that $150 fee for them. I took care of it. So basically, I told my tenants is, when you're going to be paying me, rent, for the next month, just take $150 off the rent. That'll cover your fee, so that you don't have to worry about that. So I took $150 less in the rent, that next month, just so that they didn't have to deal with the fee. And they really appreciated that, that I got rid of that fee for them. So it was kind of stupid that the property management company had done like that ridiculous of a fee, but I didn't think that was very fair to the tenants, and so I waived that fee for them. I got rid of that. I paid it out of my own for them, basically. And this is the reason a lot of landlords wouldn't do something like that. They wouldn't have waived the fee, but I do something like that because the reason I do something like that is because I want to be a nice guy, but also because these guys are going to be living in my house for a year. And so that's how long the lease is for. And so I want to have a good relationship with my tenants. I don't want it to be toxic. I don't want it to be full of drama. And that's basically what it is as a landlord you have to also take care of people, and you have to be honorable. That's the thing, is you have to be honorable about how you do business. People pay you for a service, they live in your house, well, you also take care of them. If something bad happens in the house, if something breaks, you have to deal with it. It's your responsibility as a landlord. A lot of landlords, unfortunately, don't understand that, and they basically just think that they can just sit on the house and they don't have to fix anything if something breaks. Do you fix the broken stuff? No, I don't fix the broken stuff. I have basically like 2 or 3 maintenance guys that I know, and if something breaks, I call them over, and I pay for it out of my own pocket, and I have them fix it up. So if I haven't had really any stuff break in the house, it's very rare it happens. But if it does happen, I have I basically have my maintenance guys come over and they deal with it. Worst tenants so far? Only had 2. The first tenants, they weren't that good as the second tenants. They weren't like the worst, but my meaning of Belgian history, what do you mean? When will my Modern Warfare 3 rant come out? After the Pegrino lore video. I'll answer your question in a moment there, Fernando Juarez. How would you write Tommy into GTA San Andreas, and do you think CJ and Tommy would get along? Well, Tommy was originally supposed to be in GTA San Andreas. That phone call that Ken Rosenberg does in the introduction? He tries to call Tommy, but one of Tommy's guys picks up the phone. Originally, Tommy's voice was supposed to be in GTA San Andreas, so he was supposed to, what's his name? I'm losing track of my track of thought. The guy who played Tommy Vercetti. Anyways, he was supposed to do a few lines in San Andreas. He wasn't supposed to physically be there, but he was supposed to be on the phone. So on the phone, you would hear his voice. But Rockstar couldn't get a hold of him. Ray Liotta, that's him. Rockstar couldn't get a hold of him, and so that's primarily why he wasn't in San Andreas. Thank you, Lopez, for the super chat. What's your walkthrough games this year? Well, it's Manhunt, Medal of Honor, Pacific Assault. I don't know what games I'm gonna do after that. I just want to finish up these games that I got right now, and I always think of something to do next. But yeah, I will tell you guys. I'll tell you guys a story. So I grew up in a rental property, but the rental property, my parents owned it. But if you want to know the type of rental property that I grew up in when I was a kid, it was, if anybody has ever seen Spider-Man 2 and 3, it's the funny thing is we're talking about rent, but like, you'll get your rent when you fix this damn door. That type of building that like Peter lived in, he rented out like an apartment, and it was like that type of building that's like in between like, several buildings in like New York City. That's the type of building that I basically grew up in. It was very similar to that. It was 3 floors. It was very similar. You had like a flight of, the stairs were very similar. It was like a few units like that. It was a pretty older building. I think it was from the 40s or the 50s. So it was an older building, and my parents had owned it. My grandmother was originally the owner of the building, and my family were not rich people. My family had basically sweated to be able to they worked and sweated to be able to get that property. So they worked really hard for that property, and the unit, the building. Basically had 4 units. So it had 4 units in total, and there was one unit that me and my family had lived in, and we rented out the other 3 units to people. Now, the thing about this is we had several horror tenants. Like, there's horror tenants that we've had, and these tenants are... Oh, does anybody have a Horse Reviver by any chance? These tenants are something that you would think of like it was like something that you would think of like in a parody or something like that. You wouldn't think that this is like real. But basically, there was this one guy that my parents had basically brought in. The guy was a Polish guy. My parents, their English wasn't good too. And so they thought that because this guy was a Polish guy that it'd be easier to communicate with him. But this guy was like a student from Poland. He was studying in New York City at the time. The guy was in his 20s, so right now I guess he'd be in his 40s because this happened like, close to 20 years ago. But anyways, about this guy, is this guy had no criminal record. He was in his early 20s. There was no signs of anything bad whatsoever with him. And my parents basically signed a lease with him for a year. Now, what happened with this guy is this guy, even though he had no criminal record, this guy was the absolute worst drunk that I have ever seen in my life. I have never seen anybody ever that drunk before in my life, ever. Like, this is the worst. This guy is the most biggest drunk that I've ever seen in my life, ever. And this guy was in his early 20s, too. So I was, like, thinking, like, my God, it's like you're that young and you're that much of an alcoholic. But this guy, what this guy would do is he would drink vodka almost every single night. And when he would get drunk, what he would do is he would just scream at the top of his lungs. And he didn't even live with anybody. He just lived by himself. So he would just get drunk and he would just scream all night. He would flip tables over in his unit. He would punch holes in the walls. He would completely trash the unit. The guy was a psycho. And what happened is his floor where he lived was right above my bedroom. So my bedroom was right below him. And what happened was when I was sleeping in my bed at night, I would hear him just screaming, just flipping stuff over, breaking stuff up there, and it scared me. It terrified me when I was a kid. And so and what ended up happening is the guy got so drunk that he nearly died. Like, he got so drunk and he passed out, he was going to die from alcohol poisoning. And my dad had to call an ambulance. I remember this when I was a kid. He called 911, ambulance took him away. He came back after he recovered, and then a few weeks later, he nearly drank himself to death again. And my dad had to call an ambulance. He almost died from alcohol poisoning. And my dad at that point basically told him, that's it, you're out of here. Pack up your stuff and get the hell out. I don't want you living in this unit anymore. And the guy surprisingly agreed to move out. He didn't argue or anything. He just agreed to move out. But that was like the worst drunk that I've ever seen in my life. And the thing about this is people oftentimes think of of greedy landlords. And I'm not denying it. Greedy landlords happen. There are scummy landlords. It definitely happens. But what people don't think about is they don't think about all the time scummy tenants. And that was like an example of a scummy tenant. Did my parents deserve? My parents didn't do anything bad to him. He was constantly breaking stuff in the unit and constantly getting drunk, screaming, waking everybody up, just being a menace. And that was like an example of a really toxic tenant. And then we had this other couple, and this other couple that came in. They were basically the scammers. That's what I would call them, the scam tenants. This couple, it was a guy and a girl. I don't know if they were married, but they basically lived together. And after the first month of living there, they just would not pay the rent. They wouldn't. They didn't give a specific reason for it. Nothing. They just would not pay the rent. And when my parents tried to collect rent from them, a bunch of times they refused. They would say, we're not paying rent. We're not. And so they would just still stay in the unit. And it was getting ridiculous because they were staying there for months. For months, they were staying there in that unit, just living for free, basically, without paying any rent. They were not paying anything whatsoever. And what happened is, I remember I was like a teenager at the time, and I told my mom, I was like, why don't you just, cut their power and their water if they're not going to pay rent, if they're going to do stuff like that. And my mom's like, I can't do that because of New York City laws. So I was like a teenager. I didn't even understand that like, my mom's like, I can't do that because of like the city laws. But basically, what ended up happening is my parents took these guys to court, and there was months and months and months. Like, it went on for months. And at that same time these guys were still living in the unit, and it was like nearly like half a year that these scumbags had like lived in the unit for. And what ended up happening is the day that it was finally supposed to go to trial, they moved out the day before. The day before they were supposed to go to trial, they moved out, and we don't know what happened to them. They were just gone, MIA. And what they probably did is they probably moved on to the next landlord that they could scam. That was it. So that's the thing is like people don't think about like People don't think about that, like, you know, stuff like that. Is like there are tenants who will do horrible things like that. They will scam their landlords. So my parents didn't deserve that. My parents were honorable, decent people. They weren't greedy landlords. But that was just a scummy tenant that they had dealt with, and that was just unfortunate. And the thing about this is, in New York City, it is very, very difficult to evict somebody. It takes months and months and months, and it's probably even stricter today than what it was back then. But that's basically, people would do that. You know, people would take advantage of the system, and they would just stay in somebody's house. There are even some states where, like, people will squat in somebody's house, and it's just hard to throw them out. Like, I don't know why. Like, I think it's Illinois. It's that state that it's, like, so hard to throw people out of the house when they're squatting. It's like if somebody's a squatter, they're a criminal, because they're literally illegally living in your house. Why is it so hard to throw them out? That's so stupid. It's so scary that somebody can just come into your house and just start living there, and the police aren't going to do anything about it. It's terrifying. Here, maybe Spider-Man in 2024. You're welcome again. Thank you for that, Blinded Eagle. I do appreciate it, man. And I might play it one day. You think you might play Manhunt 2 after Manhunt? Yeah, I'll probably do the second one right after the first game. And, you seem like a nice guy. Thank you, Quandale. Thank you, man. And thank you. What's their favorite cosplay you've done? My favorite cosplay, Max Ice, is probably the Watch Dogs Aiden Pierce cosplay. And thank you, Mr. Jesus, also. Thank you, guys. How evil was Emperor Hirohito? Was he worse than, Hideki Tojo? Here's the thing, is Hirohito, I wouldn't say that Hirohito was as ruthless as Tojo, but he was still very much a bad guy. Like, people think the Emperor was, like, an innocent guy, just because, they think that he was like a ceremonial head, but the Emperor very much had political power. The Emperor very much could have done stuff. The thing is, the Emperor could have very much ended that war earlier. If he wanted to, the Emperor could have very much ended that war earlier, but he let the war drag on. And the thing about this is, if anybody knows what Unit 731 is, Unit 731, people ask me about that all the time when they ask me about Japanese history. Unit 731 is, you know, biological chemical Japanese weapons facility. It was basically like a place where they would do human experimentation. They did experiments on people, they would test diseases on people, and every single person that was in Unit 731 died. There is not any known survivors. They killed thousands of people they murdered, and they would kidnap people from villages in China, and they would experiment on Allied prisoners of war also. It was absolutely horrible, barbaric. And the thing about this is the Emperor knew about Unit 731, and he gave them permission to do that. So that tells you what type of person that Hirohito is. That he had known about that, and he let them do that. So that's why I say, people say, oh, the Emperor was innocent, you know, he didn't want all this, you know, senseless violence. No, the Emperor was very much not innocent. The Emperor was very much a part of it. If you want to know, why did the US not execute the Emperor? The vast majority of Americans at the end of World War II wanted the Emperor hanged. Most Americans wanted the Emperor put on trial and executed. But the thing about this is, MacArthur, in the end, made the right decision by not arresting or executing the Emperor, because even though the Emperor was a horrible human being, it was actually probably better to keep him alive, because the Emperor was seen as a ceremonial figure in Japan. He was seen as a god in Japan. The Japanese people at the time saw their Emperor as the god, the father of their country. And so if the Emperor was executed, put on trial, what that would have done is that would have caused endless riots in Japan. It would have been endless civil wars, endless riots. It would have been horrible. So many more people would have died. And so at that point, the US basically figured, okay, we can force the Emperor to tell his people to stand down, and it'll end. And if you noticed, when the US occupied Japan, there was very little to no resistance. You know, you did not have armed rebellions going after the Americans when the Americans occupied Japan. The reason for that is because the Emperor told his people to stand down, and the people saw the Emperor as a god. And when the Emperor told people, stand down, do not attack the Americans who are occupying our country, they listened to him. And so if the Emperor was put on trial, you would have armed mobs of people that would be attacking American soldiers. It would have just never ended. So that's why that's the only reason the Emperor was spared. The Emperor wasn't spared because he was innocent. The Emperor was spared because he would have, if he died, it would have basically caused endless civil war in Japan.
Work on that thing, okay? I know you took care of it.
Go here.
Hey. Hey, hey.
I hope that answered your question, Fernando. Have I ever played the Batman Arkham games? No, I have not. I've seen friends play it before, but I haven't ever played it.
Frozen solid.
Warren is worse in Saints Row 1. Yeah, Warren, I would say he's worse.
Well, As soon as this melts.
You think Dr. Friedlander is based off Freeloader? That's an interesting theory because the name is so similar.
But I need you to get me that boat.
What are your thoughts on people who believe in conspiracy theories? Well, it really depends on what conspiracy theory specifically. I would say that the only conspiracy theory that I think is somewhat plausible is the JFK conspiracy, because the JFK conspiracy, there's just so many things that don't make sense with that. It's just so off. It's just there's so many things that are so weird about that I can understand why people believe in the JFK conspiracies. But then there's other conspiracies that are just plain stupid. Like there's the stupidest conspiracy that I think I've ever heard is that Australia is not a real place, it's not a real country. There's an actual conspiracy like that. I don't even know how that's supposed to work. There's another conspiracy that the Earth is flat. That's stupid. There's also another conspiracy that that we didn't land on the moon. That one's stupid too. So there's plenty of idiotic conspiracies. Some conspiracies are more believable than others, but some are just plain stupid that I can't believe that some people actually believe them. The longest playthrough on the channel, The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. It had like 40 parts. We didn't land on the moon, Pro. Okay, you want me to prove that we landed on the moon right now? I can easily prove it to you that we landed on the moon right now. You know what the proof is that we landed on the moon? The Soviet Union. That's proof that we landed on the moon. The Soviet Union sent satellites in space. They already sent a man up into space before we did. They actually beat us in the space race. They got into space before us, but we got on the moon first before them, but they were the ones who got into space first. Don't you think the Soviet Union, America's greatest enemy during the Cold War, don't you think the Soviet Union would have investigated the conspiracies? Because when the U.S. first landed on the moon, those conspiracies came up. Right when the U.S. landed on the moon, that's when those conspiracies popped up. And it was basically a bunch of people that did not believe that America could have done that and started spreading that around, and eventually people started believing it. Now, don't you think the Soviet Union had spies in every country? The KGB was like, you could argue the KGB was more effective than the CIA at spying on people. So the Soviets had spies everywhere. They had informants everywhere. You don't think that the Soviets would have investigated that, would have looked into that, saying did the U.S. really land on the moon? The Soviets would have seen it. The Soviets would have known about it. With their technology, their satellites, they would have known that the U.S. had landed on the moon. They would have definitely known that. And if the Soviets found out that the U.S. had not landed on the moon, they would have done everything in their power to embarrass America. And they would have told the entire world, look here's the proof. The Americans did not land on the moon. They didn't. They're lying to you, but they didn't. Do you know why? Because the Soviets would have looked like a bunch of idiots if they had tried to push those conspiracy theories. That's why not even the Soviets believed those conspiracy theories. So no, the U.S. did very much land on the moon. That's, just look at the Soviet Union. They would have proven us wrong. Well, they wouldn't have investigated it because they were in on it as well. Now you're basically saying there's a conspiracy in a conspiracy. Now it's gonna get out of control. Here. The shadow alien at the Miami Mall. This is the first time I'm hearing about. There's a few people commented about it, but I don't know what that is. Can you explain what that is? The videos seem extremely sketch, but your reasoning is good. Well, thank you for that. At least saying that. Thank you, Savage. Bro, I'm currently doing a criminal and law course at university. Do you have any advice? Do you think the Japanese would eventually calm down if the Emperor was killed? It would have taken another generation for things to calm down if the Emperor had died. Thank you, Zombie Fanatic, for the super chat. Bro, I'm currently doing a criminal law course at university. Do you have any advice? Do you think the Japanese would eventually calm down? Well, I answered the second part, but the first part about criminal law. There's a lot of interesting things that you can learn there, but I'll tell you something. There was the, what's it called? NPC here. There was, so, in criminal law, once, my teacher had actually picked on a girl, and he had asked her what the Fourth Amendment was. Which the Fourth Amendment in the United States Constitution, that is against illegal search and seizures. That's what that is. And he asked her, what is the Fourth Amendment? And she was basically completely zoning out. And he said, And basically, what he said, it's the right to, it prevents illegal search and seizures. That's what it does. The government basically needs a warrant if they're gonna basically search your property. And when he asked her basically what is the Fourth Amendment, do you know eventually what she said? She said, "What's that?" And I was like, I was basically like thinking to myself, I was like, you know, how can you be in a criminal law class and, you know, not even know what the Fourth Amendment is? Like, that's... My god, that's... You know, people that don't even take criminal law know what the Fourth Amendment is, but that's... An American said this? Yes, he was an American. Well, I'll tell you something, that's not the stupidest, that's not the stupidest, thing I've ever seen somebody do in class before. Do you know what the stupidest thing that I've ever seen somebody do in class before, ever? The dumbest thing I've ever seen a student do? It was in 11th grade in social studies. My teacher had a world map on the board, and he told this girl to find the United Kingdom on a map. Or no, I think he told her to find Great Britain, and the map said United Kingdom. And what happened was, she was, like, looking all over the place. Like, she started looking in, like, Eastern Europe, like, parts of, like, Africa, and, like, Asia, and stuff like that. And I was like, it's like, you don't know where the United Kingdom is? It's like, that was, like, I could understand if, like, somebody's, like, pointing to some small country in, like, Europe, or, you know, some country that's, like, doesn't have, like, a very large population. But, like, how do you not know where the United Kingdom is? That's... I was just... And there's people out there that don't even know that the United Kingdom is the entire country. Oh, great. Did my game freeze? Yep, my game froze. It's not my capture card, my game froze. Wonderful. Okay. I will come back in. Hang on a second here. My game froze. Oh, that sucks. Happened to my... Hey, you guys here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, can you guys invite me back to that session because my game froze? Just send me an invite, guys, and I'll just join you. Thank you.
Okay.
So what I was trying to tell you guys is that there's a lot of people out there that don't know the difference between the United Kingdom and Great Britain. The United Kingdom is the entire country. The United Kingdom, which is, you know, England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. Great Britain is just the bigger island on the right side, excluding Northern Ireland. That is, you know, the difference between it. What's your opinion on Maya Fey, in my opinion? I feel bad for her, and she's my favorite character in Ace Attorney. Yeah, I do feel bad for her a bit. Yeah, she definitely went through a lot of stuff, like when she was accused of murdering her sister. That was the second case in the game. You could have just helped that person out. Well, it wasn't... I guess I just didn't say anything. Oh, I'll tell you guys something. I'll tell you guys something really funny. The, what was it? I remember my teacher asked us a question once about, it was a quiz question on World War II. I'm just trying to remember what the question was exactly, because it was such an easy question, but people had messed it up so badly on it, like most of the class had gotten the wrong answer. The question was, where is Midway Island located? That was the question. And I remember that the choices were, I think it was like, it was near Hawaii, near California, near Japan, or midway between the US and Japan. That was the choices that we had. And what happened was the majority of the class actually chose, near Hawaii. when Midway Island is more midway between the US and Japan. And basically what the class was saying is they were saying, I thought you were trying to trick us. That's why you and the teacher's like, no, I wrote that question just to help you guys out. That's why it was, but, yeah. I'll start the posse right now. There's people in the UK that don't know the UK is a county. They also think Ohio, or you mean country? They also think Ohio is a country. Are you continuing the Bully 100% stream? Yes, we'll continue it. I don't know when, but we'll continue it. We'll definitely will. The Midway Islands are located midway, yep. No, I haven't been to Australia. Art is always up here. Oh, I'll tell you guys something really stupid. I'll tell you guys something really stupid about geography. So, back in 2008, I was a teenager in 2008. I was 13 years old in 2008. In 2008, Russia invaded Georgia. Georgia is a country that is located in the Caucasus region. It borders Azerbaijan. And I'm trying to remember what other, but it's basically located south of Russia. It used to be part of the Soviet Union. And Russia had invaded Georgia in 2008. And when the media was saying Russia invades Georgia, there was people in the US that actually thought Russia invaded the state of Georgia. Georgia, the state. Like, people were just confused by that. I remember that. And even when I was 13 years old, I knew what Georgia was. I knew the country of Georgia. That I knew about it. And so it's like people thinking that Russia invaded, like, the state of Georgia. I remember people were talking about that, like, in my school, and there was, like, adults that actually believed that. They thought that Russia had invaded the state of Georgia. No, Russia did not invade the state of Georgia. Russia invaded the country of Georgia. But that was a dumb thing that people had gotten wrong. But here's what I'll tell you guys, is that a lot of people think that Americans are terrible at geography, but I'll tell you the truth about that is there are people that are terrible at geography everywhere. Because if you notice, the people that make those videos on YouTube, like, they make those videos on YouTube and they say, oh, Americans can't find this country in a map. Basically, they go up to a bunch of random people and they ask them, like, oh, can you name this country? Can you find, like, Australia? Or, you know, can you find Russia on a map? Or can you find China on a map? What these people will do is they will interview, like, 100 people, and then they basically will choose, like, the 10 stupidest people. And they'll show that, and they won't show the rest of the people that were able to find the correct location. I guarantee you, if I went to any country, you know, if I went to Australia, the United Kingdom, you know, Russia, China, it doesn't matter, you know, what country, I'm definitely gonna find people that are really dumb when it comes to geography. I'll definitely find people everywhere in the world. So basically, it's understandable that, like, there's some really small countries where people don't know where they are, but, like, if you don't know where, like, a country like Australia is, then you gotta really take a look at your geography skills at that point. Also, to all my fellow Serbs out there, which for anyone wondering, that means Merry Christmas. Oh, okay. Oh, it does. Oh, Serbia, I think. Serbia, because Serbia is an Orthodox Christian country, right? So Serbia does their Christmas, like, early January. Yes, they do their Christmas, I think, early January. So that was yeah. So that is then Merry Christmas to everyone then. Do you think it's a good idea to play Manhunt on your channel? You could get on their strike for graphic content. It's a possibility, Quandale. I don't know. I guess we'll try it. Hopefully I won't get a strike. Hopefully nothing like that happens. But if I get a strike for playing, like, a game like Manhunt, that's going to be really, really stupid if I do. Thank you, Quandale. No problem, Mark. Glad I can help you. Do I have any memorable college moments? Not that I can think of at the moment, but I'll probably think of something. Oh, and you guys want to know something? For the Manhunt cosplay, I actually made a costume. I made a costume. I made a basically, I don't want to reveal what I'm going to be wearing on the body, but I basically made a body costume. And, this part here, I didn't make this one I bought. But take a look at this. This is also for the Manhunt, playthrough. So when I do that, it's a little... Damn, my NVIDIA broadcast is being a bit hard here, but see that? Yeah. I'll be having this for the Manhunt cosplay. I hope YouTube doesn't get pissed at me for wearing this, like, during the Manhunt cosplay. I hope I don't have problems from YouTube because of that. I didn't make this, for people wondering. This I got on Etsy. So if you know Etsy, there's people on Etsy that actually make Manhunt masks. And, this was a really well done mask. This cost me like $50. But that's a cool mask. And I know that this is the, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never played Manhunt before, but this is the mask of the smiley face psychos, right? That's these guys, the please stop me people. That's them. What's Manhunt about? Well, when I only played, I only played the first mission of Manhunt. That's the only thing I played. I did not play anything else. And the only reason I played the first mission of Manhunt was because I wanted to see whether I would have any glitches or any issues like that. And when I played it, I already had issues. I already had problems. For people wondering, I had some graphical issues when I was playing Manhunt. I had a problem with the display, I fixed that. And then I had a problem with the gate. You know the first gate where the enemy comes from and you kill the enemy? I couldn't unlock the gate. It would not work. It wasn't unlockable. And so basically I had to install a patch. So I found a patch online, I installed it, and apparently has fixed all the issues. Now for people wondering, I'm playing the Steam version of Manhunt. That's the version that I'm playing, is the Steam version. And yet the Steam version is buggy as hell too. He is wearing my shoes? Wait. What? Anomalous? Thank you for the super chat. Yes, I want to make a lore video on Claude. Is that why the gate doesn't open in Manhunt? It's because of the piracy things like that they put in? The thing about this is, don't you, like, the thing about is, if I was a developer, right, and I released a game on Steam that did not work at all, like, I would be ashamed. Like, I would be ashamed. I would do everything in my power to fix that. I cannot release an unfinished product like that. Like, it's like me releasing, like, a half-finished lore video and just cutting it off. Like, at just an abrupt moment. That's stupid. So that's, like, I can't do something like that. But also, for people wondering what I think of Manhunt, from what I've seen so far, Manhunt is basically reminds me the most of Outlast. That's what Manhunt reminds me of. It basically, from what I've seen, Manhunt is like Outlast, but third person, but you can fight and hide. Where Outlast, you can only run and hide. So that's what I'll say about it, is it's a bit different, is that you can kill the people that that are chasing you. Yeah, and the thing about that is because Rockstar is so stupid, they literally released a pirated version, and they and you can't even get through the first gate. Is the lobby full? Let me look. We have room for one more person in here. I can only invite you once the activity is done, I think. Can I? Oh, no, I can invite right now, okay. A 13-year-old beat Tetris and the news anchor lady blamed him for wasting his life playing video games. He made the game crash. His score was too big. The thing is, games like that require a lot of IQ to play. Like, if you're gonna do something like that, that kid is talented. That kid has talent. I'm friends with your friends on PlayStation. Well, hello, Demaron? No, I've never seen Carlito's Way. Thoughts on some YouTubers using AI-generated thumbnails? It's laziness. All of my thumbnails that you guys see, I make on my own. I'm responsible for making. I edit my videos and I make all my thumbnails. No one does that for me. I take care of it all on my own. Have I ever watched Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad? Only clips I've seen on YouTube. I haven't actually gotten around to watching the show. Thank you, Matthew, for the super chat. With Photoshop, yep. Bro, what's your IQ? You seem like a genius. I don't consider myself a genius. I could, you know, maybe one day on a stream I'll take an IQ test live if you guys want me to do that. Not right now at the moment, but I could do that possibly. But even the IQ tests, I don't think they really measure your IQ personally. But the way I've always seen it is I don't consider myself smart. I don't consider myself a genius. I was raised and taught that smart people never call themselves smart. What's one activity you love to do in GTA 5 story mode? Golf. I actually do enjoy the golf in that game. How many days did it take you to master geography? Geography took me years to master. The thing about this is, if you show me a world map, I could probably tell you where 90% of the countries on that world map are. I'm not joking by that, because I've gotten so good at geography. And the reason I've gotten so good at geography is because I had a globe on my desk, and I had that globe on my desk for, you know, so many years, and I would just basically stare at that globe, and I would just look and find, like, small countries oftentimes. I was always interested in finding, like, the small countries. And so because of that, I've gotten really good, and I can locate pretty much every country on the map. Your thumbnails are way better than everyone else. Thank you. You do the IQ test off stream a few times and upload the best one like you do in your playthroughs? No. And what playthroughs? I've never done an IQ test in my playthroughs. Bro, back in the PS2 era, games had to be done and they had to be finished on release. Let's go back to that era, please. Yep. Oh, and if you're talking about playthroughs, on playthroughs, a lot of times I show my deaths. The only time I would say that I cut deaths on playthroughs is when there's like a bunch. When it's like a bunch of times I died, then I'll cut out a bunch of them because I don't want the video to stretch out so long. But typically I keep a lot of my deaths. I mean, if you look at my Fight Night Champion video, like against Isaac Frost, that I did, I was like fighting like a really hard boss. I could have cut out every single fail that I had, but I didn't. I cut out some of the fails because the video was like, you know, over like, you know, an hour long at the start. But I kept in a lot of the fails. So you can watch that video and you can see me fail a bunch of times in it fighting Isaac Frost. So I show plenty of my fails. Will I do a playthrough Left 4 Dead? Yeah, one day I could do it. The conspiracy theory that Moscow was nuked in 1812? How does that make any sense? I remove people from my posse. Here, reaction after beating Isaac Frost was so funny. Well, thank you. Okay, there we go. Fed the horse.
I hope you ain't expecting a pat on the back for that last job.
Would I play Half-Life? 81 day. I say you're smart because of the topics you talk about and the way you talk about them. Well, thank you. Can you explain why the Brotherhood of Steel is evil? I don't know if I would describe the Brotherhood of Steel as evil, but I would not describe them as the good guys either. That's what I would say about the Brotherhood of Steel. Is the Brotherhood of Steel is an organization that's just obsessed with hoarding technology, and their reasoning for that is that this like advanced technology cannot be left in in other people's hands because then it could be too dangerous. But by that same logic is, how do you know the Brotherhood of Steel is not going to go power hungry with this technology and start killing people? Why should they be the ones who control all this advanced technology and nobody else should have that? Why? Because here's the thing about this is, if you look at the story of Fallout 4, for example, let's just say the Institute was not kidnapping people. The Institute are a bunch of scumbags, but let's just say the Institute was not kidnapping people. They weren't kidnapping people, they weren't making sense, they were just generally helping people with their technology. If they actually were doing that, the Brotherhood of Steel would still declare war on them, because they would say, oh, you can't have that technology, only we can have that technology. No one else is allowed to have advanced technology like that. I'm gonna get his head juice, see how he likes it, that's what I'm gonna do. Is that a line from Manhunt? Thank you, Anomalous, a scientist, for the super chat. Aren't the Brotherhood of Steel xenophobes or something? The Brotherhood of Steel are extremely racist against ghouls and super mutants. The Skylift setup mission for the cargo ship robbery? No, it's not that bad, actually. I don't think it's that bad. Didn't the Brotherhood of Steel steal the reactor from Rivet City? That I don't know, Alfie. I'm not sure. I don't know. I would say the Brotherhood of Steel are not as bad as, they're not as bad as the Enclave. The Enclave is much worse than them, but I would say they're definitely not the good guys. What headphones are you using? I actually don't even know these headphones. I've had these headphones for years and they work perfectly fine. I actually don't even know what brand they are. It doesn't even say on them. Yeah, I keep on my old cosplay costume. Maybe I'll do a video of just showing my closet one day, just full of my cosplay outfits. Favorite faction in Fallout? I would say either the Powder Gangers or the Omertas. How tall are you? I have to measure my height. I think about 6 feet. It's been a long, long time since I've done that. But I think I'm about 6 feet. Thank you, Joseph, for that super chat. Do you think it was stupid of Tony to kill Jimmy even though he wasn't 100% sure he was a rat? No. Jimmy, it was obvious that Jimmy was a rat. Jimmy was very much a rat. Jimmy was, the thing about this is Tony had proof that Jimmy was a rat because while he didn't see Jimmy actually talking to the feds himself, he knows that Jimmy got arrested, and then Jimmy, what he was doing is he was constantly asking, he was constantly asking questions about things that they had already gone over. So there's things that they had already gone over, and he was asking the questions. And then when they brought him to like a sit down with the rest of the mob, he was asking similar questions again, things that they had clearly gone over. So it was obvious that he was the one that was ratting. Well, Claude is in general more of an evil person than Tony, but Tony committed worse crimes, if that makes sense.
Shit! Call again.
What difficulty are you gonna do for your Manhunt playthrough hardcore?
Jesus Christ!
No, he knew that he was the snitch. That's why he killed Jimmy.
Think about what you're doing.
I got a new job today. I start Monday. Oh, congratulations. What kind of job is it?
Oh, shucks.
When are you playing Manhunt? It'll be right after the Pegorino lore video. Oh, I didn't put him on my horse?
What the hell?
Thank you. Catalina versus Dimitri, who's more ruthless? I would say Dimitri, because Catalina can at least work with some people for the time being. Dimitri can't work with anyone. Who is the Commission? The Commission, I'm going to be going over that in my lore video, but the Commission is basically like... The Commission is kind of like the United Nations for the Mafia, basically. It's a giant board meeting of 5 families that meet together, discuss business, and prevent conflicts between each other.
Good Lord. Got them all alive. Gonna pay out good.
Salvatore was a much smarter boss than Pegorino was. What age do you think you'll give up video games? I don't think I'll ever give up video games. I love video games. Video games are basically an endless source of entertainment. There's so many different games you can always play. Was Salvatore a psychopath? No. You think Rockstar is better in the 2000s? Yes. What about the guy jumping on the judge? A few people have told me about it earlier. Well, Tommy never really did anything against the Leones, as far as I know. Harry Smith is the next head of the school. He's responsible, courageous, and not afraid of being an unpopular leader. It's a part-time snack bar waitress at a bowling alley. I start Monday. Oh, okay.
No, not again.
Well, good luck at your job.
Can't be serious.
What editing software do you use for your videos? When it's a complicated project, I'll use Adobe Premiere Elements. When it's a more simple project, I'll use Movie Maker. Probably not Blinded Eagle, because I'm just not into UFC. If there's a fighting sport I'm going to watch, is boxing. Leones or Prime Forellis? Prime Forellis would win a war against the Leones. The Forellis would be the strongest mafia, and then they had so many setbacks.
Good hunting. Most I know would have settled for the dead price on these. Here, enjoy.
Favorite boxer? Probably Muhammad Ali. ESP will definitely bring you a lot of nostalgia. Was Sonny a smart Farley boss? He was smart in going into drugs, but he was stupid in thinking that he was just so powerful that he couldn't be touched. It's more... What do you mean by that, Anomalous, about Manhunt 2? Who's worse, Tony Soprano or Walter White from what I've seen in Breaking Bad? I think Tony, because Tony is the actual boss of a family. Walter White, I know he's responsible for deaths, but he's mainly just a meth cook. Thank you, Mr. Nowhere. Well, no, it's probably better that, that Raymond didn't die. That's probably, it probably was better for that, but Isaac Frost nearly killed him. Thank you, Alex. What about the Minutemen? They're generally good people, they just don't have the resources to get things done. I'll probably find one online, Anomalous.
Gonna regret this.
Come on, don't do this! Oh my god! You cocksucking piece!
Thank you for the super chat, Joseph. I don't really, talk about things in my personal life like that, but thank you for the super chat.
I need some help here!
What's the worst Rockstar game that I've ever played? I have to think about that one. I don't know. Generally every Rockstar game has been a good one. I would say the, if you're gonna ask me what the... I can tell you the most disappointing Rockstar game. I'll tell you the most disappointing Rockstar game that I've ever played. The most disappointing Rockstar game that I ever played is this game we're playing right now, Red Dead Online. This is the most disappointing Rockstar game. Technically, Red Dead Online is a separate game also, because even though it's part of Red Dead Redemption 2, it's sold as a separate game. So I would say Red Dead Online would probably have to be the most disappointing Rockstar game ever. It's still a great game, it's still a fun game. I like playing it, like, you know, every week. But it's so disappointing that this game was abandoned, screwed over. It was a game that had potential. There's nothing wrong with the game, but it was the fact that the game just wasn't supported. I would say Red Dead Online is probably the most disappointing Rockstar game of all time. GTA Definitive Edition. Well, the thing about the Definitive Edition is that San Andreas was mostly a disaster, I didn't really have that many problems with Vice City Definitive Edition and GTA 3, but I can understand why people are pissed at San Andreas. It would be the Definitive Edition then, Julian. Thoughts about videos like video games aren't fun anymore? Well, you have to, you would have to explain what they're talking about in the video. Why? What's the reasoning? The what? Flaming eel? What gang did you side with in the Nuka World DLC? Oh, you mean in Fallout 4? Right now, I haven't completed the DLC. I'm siding with the Pack and the Disciples right now. I don't know. The operators. I kind of like the operators that they were just there to make money, but I kind of did not like the operators like uniforms. I kind of didn't like their outfits. I liked more of the Disciples. I like their outfits more than the operators.
You delivered us our outlaw. Put him in the cell and let him sweat. Whatever it said on the poster, it's all right there for
Who do I think would win, Ali or Tyson? I'm not an expert. Generals. I would say probably Ali. Because Muhammad Ali is probably the most iconic boxer ever. What series do you think Rockstar abandoned or forgotten? Read Dead Online? Well, I don't know if that counts as a series. Manhunt. Manhunt, Bully. Yep, those titles. I know you do not like futuristic games, but you should try Cyberpunk 2077. The crime, underworld, and corruption would fit your channel. I will definitely give it a try one day. Oh, Agent. How could we forget Agent, too? Yep, Agent. If Ellie didn't spare Abby, would The Last of Us 2 be hated? If Ellie killed Abby, people would still be getting pissed at the game, but they would at least have some closure that the person who killed Joel is dead. Did I hear a GTA Tokyo was planned? No, I don't know. I didn't know about that. Tyson himself said Ali would beat him. Oh. Well, I guess that answers the question then. Thank you, Greek Mercenary, for the super chat. What kind of currency is that? That's Swedish? I think that's Swedish, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the train one. We haven't had this one in some time. Can you invite, again? Okay, sure, Brandon. Hold on. We make sure there's not... Okay, there's still room in here. Okay, Was Bully 2 actually cancelled, though? Because I know the files had that were leaked showed that there was Bully 2 in there. But was it actually, like, is it confirmed that it was cancelled, that they're never working on it again?
Hey, you don't belong here. Get out of here now, Tim. You.
That train is going faster than normal trains do. No, I never finished The Walking Dead. Is the chat working? Did the chat? I think the chat might have frozen. Hold on 1 second, everyone. Whoa. Okay. I think the chat froze. Yeah, it did. It was on my screen. It froze earlier. But when I go up the YouTube app, it's working here. Thank you, X-Optic. Thanks, man. Thank you for the super chat. You're finally getting a break at work? What do you mean? Oh, in the chat. Okay, chat's working again for me here. Ow. Do I know about the Cut Sleeping Dogs 2 game? You mean Triad Wars, right? I might do a video on that one day. Why are so many people against fan games? There's a Souls-like game. There's a Soul-like game called Lies of P that's hated for being a Dark Souls clone. The story is and combat is goddamn brilliant. This is like a game that you can buy. You don't have to super chat me again. I just want a little bit more of an explanation. Blade of Stars. Thank you for the super chat. But this is like a game that you can buy, right? I would say that it's a competitor. Then if it's like similar to Dark Souls, it's probably a competitor. Probably what it is. Yes, for PlayStation. Well, I'll tell you something. Is people, a lot of times, unfortunately, when they look at games, they look at it from a very stupid way. People ruin video games all the time. Video games are not just ruined by their developers, but they're ruined by their fans. Because the fans will push a developer to do a game a certain way, and then the game will be ruined. Now, if you look at Call of Duty, for example, Call of Duty is a perfect example of you cannot please everyone, because the Call of Duty games just went so crazy, like they went so all over the place, like futuristic, World War II, jumping on walls, running on walls, all this stuff. Now going back to modern times, going back to World War II, and so it's like no matter what you do with the game, is you're gonna piss somebody off. It's like people every year, whenever a Call of Duty game comes out, every year people are like, oh, this game sucks, it's the worst Call of Duty ever. And then a year later, they're like, oh, this sucks, it's the worst Call of Duty ever. This year, I will agree, this was actually one of the worst Call of Duties ever that came out, Modern Warfare 3. That point I will agree with, generally. And my reasoning for that was because they just basically took everything from Modern Warfare 3, they rushed it out into a game really quickly, did not even include DMZ mode, which is what I bought Modern Warfare 3 for, had like a 4-hour campaign, and had a terrible written storyline. So, in this case, I will agree for once that this Call of Duty was terrible, but in general, every single year you have those people that will just always say that it's the worst Call of Duty, worst one ever. And like people kept saying that Cold War was the worst Call of Duty. Cold War is not a bad Call of Duty. Cold War is a great Call of Duty. I don't know why people hated Cold War so much. I thought Cold War was a pretty good one. Look at Call of Duty Vanguard. Vanguard was like 10 times worse than Cold War. I don't know what people were complaining about that saying that Cold War sucked. Cold War is a decent game. And Cold War had a 10 times better story than Modern Warfare 3. The story in Cold War was really good. But basically, what I'll tell you is, does anybody here know what game series that is the most famous for being ruined by fanboys? Does anybody here know what game was ruined by fanboys? The game series was killed off because of fanboys. Anybody know what game that was? Right there. People got it in the chat. It's Saints Row. Do you want to know something? The death of Saints Row, I honestly blame on GTA fanboys. I know that the developer has responsibility as well, but I also blame the GTA fanboys for the death of Saints Row. And the reason for that is because if you look at Saints Row 3, Saints Row 3 is where it all started going downhill. Saints Row 3. Saints Row 2 was the last really good one. Saints Row 3 wasn't a bad game. It was okay, but it wasn't a Saints Row game. Neither was Saints Row 4. Saints Row 4 wasn't a bad game, but it wasn't a Saints Row game. And so that's where it started going downhill at that point. And why did Saints Row change so much? The reason that Saints Row changed so much is because people kept complaining and they kept saying, this is too similar to GTA. It's a GTA clone. If you compare GTA 4 and Saints Row 2, both of those games came out in the exact same year. Saints Row 2 let you do so many more things than GTA 4. It had so much more activities. The economy was better. There was just so much more stuff to do. The customization was 100 times better in Saints Row 2 than it was in GTA 4. And yet people kept calling it a GTA clone. It was nothing like GTA 4. That's the thing about it. So people were just so stupid for that, and the developer was tired of it. They were tired of hearing the people constantly complaining about it, and so they decided to change something up. And so they fought with a new game. They thought that they're gonna do like some modern hipster setting where like people are gonna like it now, the way this new style that they did it. But no, it was a disaster as well. Saints Row was always a GTA clone. Viking, let me ask you something. If Saints Row is a GTA clone, then by that same logic, is Medal of Honor, is Call of Duty a Medal of Honor clone? Because Call of Duty came out before Medal of Honor did. And Call of Duty started out as a competitor to Medal of Honor. So is Call of Duty a Medal of Honor clone? Is Battlefield a Call of Duty clone? Is Forza a Gran Turismo clone? So, that's, you just keep going on and on with these games. These games are competitors. They're not clones. They're competitors.
But okay.
Okay. No, it's a different opinion, Chase. It's fine. It's...
Hi there.
But I hope you understand that, Viking. I'm not trying to be rude to you, but it's just that it was just a... Saints Row was never a GTA clone. I always thought it's a GTA competitor. That's just what I've always seen it as, personally.
I have some ideas.
Not right. The devs of the original Call of Duty were devs of Medal of Honor first. Yeah, well, I'm saying is Call of Duty started out as a competitor to Medal of Honor, because Medal of Honor came out first, and a lot of Medal of Honor developers went over to Call of Duty. That's basically what had happened.
Excusez-moi. Your boss has a batch.
Your videos are the only things I look forward to. Thank you, LXHYS. A General Grievous movie would be cool. He always wasn't an evil cyborg. He was born into slavery and was a noble warrior. He hated the Jedi for an understandable reason, and the movie can explain it. I know from the comics, though, Own Titan, that his planet was getting, like, invaded, and the alien species that was invading his planet, they were, like, an insect species, I think, and they were just basically just slaughtering his people, and he got, pissed off at that, and then invaded their planet, and then when he invaded their planet, they went to the Jedi Council, and they were asking for help, and the Jedi sided with the other side, and Grievous hated them for that, too. I believe that was the story with him. And also, there's nothing wrong with making a competitor to a game. You want to have competitors to games, because when you have competitors to games, games become better because of that. Oh, you said Call of Duty came out first before Medal of Honor. Yeah, it was my wording. I apologize for that. But Viking, are you still here? Do you understand what I'm saying, basically?
J'attends votre inspiration.
What's your opinion on Livia Soprano, an evil psychopath? Okay,
Ready to go.
for 2 minutes. Okay.
My, it is rare to find anyone worth a damn these days. Nice to see an exception.
Revenue agents? Road to Assassination? I don't know if I've heard of that one.
We got ourselves a music lover.
What Medal of Honor game is on the pass right now?
All right, fellers, give them what they paid for.
Oh, I forgot about this, that they play the Christmas music here, too. Well, thank you, Own Titan. I do appreciate it, man. Okay, this is the most... Yeah, this is, yeah, awkward dance, too. Saints Row 2 is darker than GTA 4, is that true? I would say that GTA 4 is probably a little bit more darker, but they are both kind of dark. They both have very brutal deaths in them. Medal of Honor Airborne on Game Pass. Okay. Yes, Kane and Lynch was more darker than GTA 4 Own Titan. You're right on that. Oh, there's gonna be Sleeping Dogs 2? I didn't know that. What did you think about the way China was portrayed in Black Ops 2? Well, it was historically accurate how they had that one Chinese spy help them in the Afghanistan mission because China hated the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Do you think the DOA, GTA equivalent to DEA, will be a major antagonist in GTA 6? Yeah. They're probably gonna... I mean, the DEA were enemies in Vice City and Vice City stories, so they're probably they probably will play a pretty big role then. But I don't think I've ever heard of that agency before. It's in the HD universe, because in Vice City and Vice City stories they called them DEA. You should listen to Samatri Pro. What's that? Thank you, Joseph, for the super chat. Does anybody need to sell anything? Oh, the undercover cop at the end of Series A is DOA. Okay. The worst crime I've heard about? There was this crime that happened, I think it was like 20 or so years ago, and I don't think it's the worst crime that I've heard about, but I would say that the people that are involved in the crime were just evil. But basically, what happened is there was this guy, and he wanted he was cheating on his wife, and he wanted his wife dead so he could collect the insurance money. And so what the guy did was he had basically brainwashed his daughter into believing that her mother was abusing the father, and he was basically telling the daughter, "Oh, you have to protect me from your mother. You know, she's gonna kill me. She's gonna hurt me. You have to do something. You have to stop her." And he basically told her that, you kill her, you'll be protecting me. And then he told her, like, take these pills, and then, like, afterwards the cops will, like, think that you're crazy, and then you're only gonna be put in, like, a mental health, clinic for a number of years, and then you'll get out and everything will be fine. And what happened is the pills that he actually gave her were actually going to kill her. So it wasn't going to knock her out like he said. It was going to kill her. So basically the daughter was brainwashed. She killed the mom. She then took the pills. And but what she did was she vomited the pills after taking them. And that's why she didn't die. And then she gets arrested. She gets charged with the murder. The police knew that there was more to this story. They knew that there was something off here about this, because the second that the wife died, the guy went to his new girlfriend. And so the police look at stuff like that. Like, these criminals, a lot of times these criminals think the police are not going to check, like, insurance policies, but the police will check. That's the first thing the police do, is they see who gets life insurance. And they see, does a person get, like, a girlfriend right after, like, their wife or husband died? Like, do they get, like, a new boyfriend, new girlfriend right after their spouse died? And that doesn't necessarily mean that they killed them, but it's highly suspicious when your wife dies, and, like, just, like, a day or two later you start dating another woman. That's extremely suspicious. And, basically, what happened is the daughter spent like 10 years or so in prison, and the dad did not visit her once, and she refused to say anything against the dad. And after the dad did not visit her at all, she decided then to tell the cops what happened. She decided to tell them that basically the dad had brainwashed her, told her that the mom was gonna be, was gonna hurt the dad. And then what the daughter and the daughter was, daughter was sentenced to prison for a bit of time. What ended up happening was when the daughter came back and testified against the dad, her prison sentence was commuted. So she was actually freed from prison when she testified against the dad. And the dad actually then denied it, saying the daughter was crazy, that she didn't that she's talking nonsense, but it was real. But I'm gonna say is that you have to be a really evil psychopath to be able to do something like that, where you are going to, you plan to kill your wife, you're cheating on your wife, you plan to kill your wife, and then you try to convince your daughter to do it, and then try to convince your daughter to kill herself afterwards. That has to be one of the most evilest, messed up things that I think I've ever heard of somebody doing, and to their own family, too. It's just so disgusting. And the dad, for people wondering, the dad got sentenced to life in prison. The daughter was released. She's living her life right now. She has to live with what she did, pretty much. The daughter, in a way, is a victim too. I'm not justifying what she did to the mom. She's a victim. She's a victim too because she was brainwashed by the dad. Like, she was young when she did it. She was just a kid. And so she was convinced, like, she was like a teenager, that's like around the time when she killed the mom, and so she was convinced that, like, the dad had basically convinced her, like, saying, "Oh, don't you love me? Your mom is going to hurt me, you have to kill your mom, you have to protect me and your father." So she was basically just convinced that her mom was abusing the dad when that didn't happen. So she is a victim in this way. Like I said, not defending that she killed the mom, but she was basically brainwashed by the dad, and she shouldn't spend, her life in prison over that. The dad deserves to spend life in prison. He's the mastermind. He's the guy who basically did everything. So that's what I say is, like, when there's people out there that say, oh, they say that there's no such thing as evil, that's evil right there. That's evil. That's just horrible. No, the girl got out. She's not serving time in prison anymore. No, I don't remember their names. The only thing I remember is I saw a documentary about it, like, a long time ago. Like, years ago, I was, like, watching documentaries on, like, TV about, like, the really, like, messed up cases, and that one was one that I saw. How do people change from being normal human beings to being totally disgusting evil people? The thing about that is those people are usually always disgusting evil people. The only difference is you couldn't see it. That was the thing about it. Is the only time I would say the only time people can become, like, really disgusting evil people is when they experience something traumatic, when they go through something horrible that might change their whole outlook on life. But typically, if there's somebody that's, like, really nice, typically, and then they go full evil, like, later on in life, that person was always an evil, horrible person. The only difference is you couldn't see it. It wasn't obvious.
Honestly,
But hearing the story, I think that father should have gotten the death penalty. That's terrible.
You know that Tom Wilkinson, who voiced Pendrew in Sleeping Dogs, died back in December? He was in Rush Hour and played General Cornwallis in The Patriot. Oh, and he also played Benjamin Franklin in John Adams, too. So he played an American founding father and a British general in the 2 different Revolutionary War movies and TV series. Damn, I remember that guy. I know the actor you're talking about. I just didn't know his name, but that's sad. That's horrible. He was a good actor. You know, every movie that I generally saw him in, he was good. I had no idea that he passed away. And now that I think about it, he sounds just like Pendrew. I didn't even know about that he played Pendrew. Yeah, that is his voice. No, Niko Bellic is not evil. Dimitri is evil. Thoughts on Corrupt Cops? Honestly, I hate Corrupt Cops more than I hate, like, a lot of the actual gangsters. Well, Corrupt Cops are technically gangsters with badges, but you know what I mean when I say gangsters. I oftentimes hate Corrupt Cops more than I hate the gangsters, because the cops took, like, they took an oath to uphold the law. And they're basically abusing that to get privileges and money. They were both really horrible people, Mr. Bubsy. Wish I had a PS4 so I could play Red Dead Online with you. That would be a great honor. Also, how could you get someone to hear your story while in prison cell yell to the guard, logically? What do you mean? You mean if you're trying to testify against somebody? Basically, they will just typically talk to the guards, and they'll say that they have some information, and then the guards will just bring in detectives, and the detectives then will see if they have anything that's worthwhile listening to.
Is this like a blizzard?
Yeah, this is a blizzard. This is a very rare event that spawns when there's snow, but this is the blizzard. And if you notice, your character is also, like, freezing. Your character has different animations during this storm. I really wish this weather was, like, this weather should be in different parts of the map. Like, it shouldn't just be in, it shouldn't just be for, like, the winter event. But this type of weather should be across, like, Red Dead Online. In certain places, you could definitely have snowy weather like this. Not just in Coulter. Coulter doesn't even snow, it just has snow.
In more parts of the year. Maybe they could like have like a dust storm for the desert areas. I don't know.
Yeah, they could do something like that. Maybe if Red Dead Online ever comes out to PS5, they could do it.
Unfortunately, I doubt that would happen, but you know, we can always hope.
Yeah, this is very much the blizzard. Not around the entire map, but around certain places in the map, it should there should be like weather like this. Oh, come on. Damn, I can't find this, this guy. Where is this guy? The scummiest GTA character, Dimitri. I didn't ban anyone from the chat. Maybe my moderators banned somebody, but I did not ban anybody from the chat. I dare you to hunt a bear with a knife, huh? Medal of Honor Allied Assault War Chest on PC Game Pass, and Medal of Honor Airborne on PC and Xbox. I'm sorry, it's called Hitman World of Assassination, but have you played those games and Watch Dogs 2? Yes. I've only I mean, I haven't played Allied Assault, I haven't played Watch Dogs 2 completely. But I want to play those games. But what do I... PC Game Pass, what do I need to get that? That's from Microsoft, right? Did GTA Chinatown Wars shock you? I think the Zhao scenes shocked me the most in GTA Chinatown Wars. Oh yeah, I played a lot of the Elder Scrolls games. Played Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. I have played Elder Scrolls Online. I played a lot of them. Oh, Chinatown Wars is your first GTA. It's a very interesting GTA to start as your first one. You think Faustin is an antagonist? No. I think he was a false antagonist. Oh yeah, his uncle. Yep. I kind of saw it coming that his uncle was going to betray him.
There, you can eat my horse's shit.
Devin Weston is probably more annoying than Avon Hertz, yeah. Yes, Zach, I do eventually want to make a video like that for the other protagonists, yes.
You okay there, man?
Yeah, I'm fine. Am I gonna go for $1 billion in GTA 6? Yeah, probably go for it. Why do I think Bulgarin was after Nico? Bulgarin was an arrogant scumbag that couldn't accept the fact that his ship was in terrible condition, had sunk, and so he blamed Nico for the ship sinking and losing all his cargo.
There! That's them!
Yeah, I really wish we would have snow more of the year in this game. You have to pay a monthly subscription for Xbox Game Pass or PC Game Pass. You can Google it. Oh, probably not then. I probably wouldn't pay for a monthly subscription to Xbox because I don't play Xbox that much. Vladimir from Max Payne or Vlad from Well, Vladimir from Max Payne would absolutely destroy Vlad from GTA 4. Yeah, Faustin would have probably helped him, General's alert. Which Vault experiment is the worst one? Vault 11, where they were sacrificing people every month. Who's the least evil GTA antagonist? Vic Vance. He never wanted to be a criminal.
Damn it! I was so damn close!
Do I think Rockstar can redeem themselves? With GTA 6, I definitely think they'll do a good job with GTA 6. I think people will love GTA 6. But I'm gonna like GTA 6 when it comes out, but I'm not gonna forget the bad things they did, like screwing over Reddit Online. Or the GTA Definitive Edition. Wait, was I being asked the least evil antagonist, not the least evil protagonist? In GTA, all the antagonists are usually pretty bad people. I would say probably the least.
Come on, I wanted to point and laugh at them a bit longer.
The least evil antagonist would probably have to be. Maybe Big Smoke. Big Smoke never wanted to really truly betray CJ, I would say, but just did it for the money. He had somewhat more of a conscience.
Huh. I don't think the blizzard end.
Okay, I guess we'll probably be wrapping up the stream here, guys. I'm probably gonna get some food because I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm kind of hungry. But if you guys want to ask me anything before I go, just I'll answer any questions. If you guys enjoyed the stream, do drop a like. Is there anyone? No, we'll do poker next stream, I promise. Does anybody want to ask me anything before I go here? What do I think of Specs work? Well, that's a very thank you for the super chat, Electric. The thing, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to, you know, get into that whole detail. That's just that is just a pretty creepy subject to get into. I don't think I want to answer that question, but I do generally appreciate the super chat. That was just a weird question, but it's would Trevor have solved for Dimitri? It's possible. Thank you, Electric. If there's another question you want to ask me, Electric, I'll be more than happy to answer another question, but that's you know, question I'm probably not going to answer. It's just a weird and creepy question. Can I play Def Jam Fight for New York? I want to play that one day. People have requested I play that game, so it's on my list to play. Is there any other question you want to ask me, Electric? I'll look for your comment. Maybe later, Brandon. Which Mark Felton video is my favorite? I'd have to think about that one. Maybe the one on Castle Itter. That one. Yeah, he does some really interesting videos. Watch Dogs 2 will be this year. It'll be in June, after I do Watch Dogs 1 again. In GTA, I follow the speed limit. Oh, probably takes you a very long time to get to place, right? Do I like Star Wars under Disney? No. I think that Disney has ruined Star Wars. I think that they have basically added a bunch of new planets that nobody cares about. And the thing is, they don't use any old planets. Like, even the prequels, they added a bunch of new planets, but they still had old planets. You still saw old planets in the prequels. But there's no... But in the new one, there's all just new planets. You don't see any of the old planets. The stories were just rushed. You know, the First Order was just not an interesting faction in general. And Luke was, like, the worst character in the new movies. The sequel trilogy, Luke was the worst character in that one. He was terrible. Because Luke, the difference between Luke and Yoda is that Luke believed that everybody could be redeemed, no matter how far they've fallen. Where Yoda believed that once somebody fell to the dark side, they could never be redeemed. And Luke proved them wrong. And then all of a sudden, it's like Luke has this vision of, like, his, you know, nephew going evil, and so he decides to try to murder him in his sleep. The thing was just stupid. The old Luke would have never considered that. It just makes no sense. It's dumb. It's stupid. It's badly written. And I think Mark Hamill himself even hates the script in the new one. Doesn't he hate Luke Skywalker in the new one too? It was just badly written. That's what I would say about it. Has he actually spoken about it? He said that he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it, right? He's spoken about it. Yeah, they could definitely do something like that, Zach. I'm hoping that if they ever make a Bully 2, they'll make like a rival school also. He said he has to think of him as a different character. Maybe he's Jake Skywalker. Okay, so I guess I'll be going here, guys. Thank you guys for the thank you guys for hanging out with me on the stream. I'm just gonna go because I haven't had dinner yet. And I'm gonna finish up working on the Pegorino lore video tonight, and then on Sunday, I will have the Pegorino lore video for you guys. It's nearing completion, and it's one of my masterpieces, and I think that you guys will really like it, and I think you will really enjoy it. So thank you guys, thank you everybody for hanging out with me, thank you everybody who has super chatted tonight. I do appreciate it. If you guys did enjoy the stream, do drop a like. It does help me to make more content like this, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.